What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to Bleacher Report and the spreadsheets. I know, it's that point in the offseason. We're starting to get really creative now. But anyway, today we're ranking the best big threes ahead of the 2025-2026 NBA season. I saw this while scrolling through Bleacher Report because your boy needed something to record, and then I thought, there's no way Bleacher Report is going to do a very good job of this. So we've got Excel here to help, or I guess Google Sheets more so, to help us back things up with some data, because you know what? That's probably a better way to look at things than whatever they're going to write here. Or maybe not. Who knows? I'll be kind of curious to compare the two. But anyway, before we go and do that, make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. It's the off season, it's the boring time of the year, but there's still plenty that we're trying to do. We're gonna have some more breakout players coming out this week. Stay tuned this week for my top 25 NBA players of this week, and if you haven't seen already, I made an announcement. The season preview series is going to be back September 1st. Every single team is going to get covered in extreme detail. We're going to be talking about team goals, off-season recap. You can go read the post here. There's already quite a few likes on it, which is cool to see. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. Let's get into the article. Alrighty, so big threes in the NBA. I feel like the first, and maybe some of my older viewers can educate me, but I don't know if the term big three really became prominent until maybe the Celtics, when they had KG, Pierce, Ray Allen, and them boys. That's the first time I kind of remember it being a thing. And then obviously the LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh was a thing, and now it's just a term that's very common use in the NBA. And I feel like the NBA is getting away from right now just being okay, we need three stud players, because in basketball, three players can do a lot for you. One player can do a lot for you. That's just the type of sport that it is. But there's people trying to have a lot more depth, trying to have a lot more balance on teams, but there's obviously a couple teams that stand out as being yeah, these three guys are just like studs. The guys in this picture, I will have a hard time believing are not number one, seeing as though they are the reigning champs, but I'm curious to see what Greg has for us here. And then again, we'll go into some sheet stuff that I have afterwards. So let's see it. Oh, honorable mentions first. I love this. The Los Angeles Lakers, first one honorable mention, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves. That's a solid three. That's a very solid three. I mean, you got a lot of offense there. You got a lot of playmaking, a lot of smarts. Not the greatest defensive group ever. Honestly, LeBron was pretty damn good defensively last season, just in being where he needed to be at all times and really getting up in people's faces on the perimeter, making sure they don't get by him and stuff. I thought LeBron was great. Reeves and Doncic, yeah, in the postseason, people went at them a little bit more, but they have to do a lot for their team offensively, so I understand. Who else we got? The Knicks. Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Anunoby. Okay, by the way, is this rated in a certain way? Because I see net rating on here. Blah, 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 blah. No, based on their net rating together last season. Okay, so this is analytically based. Well, we're going to use EPM later because I just like EPM better. But honestly, net rating isn't a bad one for what we're looking at right here. But anyway, so what else do we got? So they said not the Knicks, which is kind of interesting, and not the Warriors of Curry, Butler, and Draymond. That one I actually find kind of hard to believe, but fair enough. So who do we got number 5? Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Bradley Beal. Okay, see, this is interesting. How are we... I figured they were doing a 3-man, net rating. I didn't realize that we were going to be taking into account guys that are on new teams now if we were going to be using net rating. So that's where the statistics get a little more meh, because we don't actually have data of, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Bradley Beal, and I'm going to reflect that in mine. But you know what? That's okay. We want to do what we want to do. This is a great big three. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Bradley Beal. There is a lot of expectations on the Clippers this year. I think a lot of us can agree they've got the best roster on paper, right? They basically have 2 starting fives on their team, and there's just a lot of high-level talent on this team. Biggest question, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Bradley Beal, can they stay healthy? Can they stay together? This is also the oldest team we've seen in NBA history, which there's a lot of good in that, but there's also some scary stuff when it comes to that as well. So that'll be something to watch. I immediately think about what kind of role is Bradley Beal going to play this year, because you're not going to take the ball out of James Harden's hands too much. You're not going to not give the ball to Kawhi Leonard. So what does Bradley Beal do, right? Is he going to be coming off screens, and is he going to be able to be more of the scoring guard that he's probably supposed to be? That's some of the best Bradley Beal that we've seen in the NBA, is where he's not necessarily being the point creator type. He's kind of coming off actions, catching, being ready to score after that, and kind of creating from from there, like, he's more than capable of, like, running within an offense and everything. It's just, hey, now that you're not in Phoenix where the offense was just completely dog water and you got, like, a good coaching staff now and a bunch of other good players around you, how are things going to look? That's where I have some questions more so, and I wonder how they're going to kind of stagger these three, because they can do some similar things for each other, like offensively. Defensively, I don't know. Even Kawhi Leonard maybe looked a bit slow last year, but maybe he's coming back into shape or something. I know there was the whole thing this offseason that Kawhi just like continued to kind of rep like he was in the middle of the season during the offseason. So hopefully he's coming back into shape. I've read a lot of things from some sports doctors that have said, like, guys that don't kind of keep playing basketball throughout the offseason, that's a big reason why guys get hurt, because they're trying to play themselves back into shape too quickly, coming into, like, training camp and stuff like that, and that's a big difference why guys are getting hurt a little bit more. So maybe some logic to that, but okay, that's a good one. Is this better than some of the other ones here? I'll still take Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond personally. I'll still probably take, I don't know if I'll take them over like Brunson, Towns, and Anunoby. That one's a little bit tougher for me. And then, man, Luka's just so good. So is LeBron, and so is Reeves. I don't know, man. It's tough. There's some good big threes out there. Next, Kevin Durant, Alperen Şengün, and Amen Thompson. Okay. Again, we're using something where Kevin Durant has not played with any of these guys yet, and I probably would say out of the ones that I've read so far, this is the worst big three out of like even the honorable mentions or whatever. And that's not to say that these aren't like good basketball players, because they are. Kevin Durant, obviously, potentially the most lethal scorer in the NBA still to this day. I posted something in the Discord. Go join the Discord if you haven't already. The link is in the description. We're talking hoops on there all the time. I posted like Kevin Durant's like heat map or whatever for the season, and was like, this man literally like is cold for, or like he's hot, meaning he makes like, he's super efficient from literally everywhere on the court in high quantity. It's absolutely insane. There is no shot that he doesn't like and that he doesn't absolutely excel at. But I mean, he's been like that since he was like 22 in the NBA at this point. So it's kind of crazy. Şengün, first All-Star team this last year. Probably kind of a borderline guy in my mind, but still had an incredible season. Amen Thompson, a guy that we all believe is a rising star in this NBA season. So a guy to watch. It's still a young group. I mean, how many times have we seen through like different NBA seasons where young guys just can't quite get it done? I know the most recent example is that's not the case with the Thunder kind of going all the way. But even then, Shea's kind of just now kind of hitting the prime of his career, like 26-ish years old, right? So that like 26 to 28 is when we start to see guys typically win championships in the NBA. Obviously, Jalen Williams and Chet and them much younger, right? And so that's a rare instance though. So I don't know with Şengün and Thompson. It feels a bit early to be putting them that high, but it's going to be a fun group if nothing else. You have three really smart basketball players here, if nothing else, which I think is really interesting. You should have some good defensive versatility. People do go at Şengün a lot, but it's okay. They should still have a lot of quality perimeter defense this year. We'll see what happens with Kevin Durant being on the team. I saw a lot of players people I can't talk to. I've just been sitting at the pool, not gonna lie, my face a little sunburnt. When you're Caucasian like this, no amount of sunscreen helps, whether it's SPF 100 or not. That shit's bullshit. It don't help me at all. But I can't remember what video it was recently. I don't remember. I think it was this Contenders versus Pretenders video. I got some Rockets fans coming on there, and I don't even know if they were Rockets fans, but they were like, EVC, how come you didn't put the Rockets in Contenders? Did you know they're the second best betting odds right now? Why wouldn't you pick them? Vegas said so. I think you guys need to understand how betting odds work, you dumb fucks. I don't feel bad saying that, because gambling takes advantage of everybody, and so it should take advantage of some of you dum-dums as well. Gambling and odds are not set to be like, what are the most likely outcomes? It's weighted with that and what they think people will buy into the most, that they can take advantage of them money-wise. It's not just about them guessing the correct things, because odds are going to shift throughout the year. So it's all a mathematical balancing act of like, okay, where can we put these things to where it makes enough sense for people to buy them, but also incentivize them enough to be like, I should gamble on this, to where they also ensure that they're always going to get their money back, right? So just remember those things, right? Statistician here. I don't sports gamble or anything like that. If a certain place wanted to sponsor me, Fuck, I'll say what you want me to say, but I don't know. I'm here for it. But yeah, just keep that in mind when you're sports betting and stuff. Don't use those as like ways to back your sports take, because that's dumb as shit. Number 3, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Surprised this one's not higher. Who's above? It's just OKC, and then who's the other one that I'm missing? I'm not so sure, actually. So Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland. Yeah, this is the one I immediately thought of as well. Did you guys see that picture of Evan Mobley, like shirtless on the beach? It is that time of the offseason. And yes, I'm looking at basketball players shirtless at the beach. Why aren't you? But dude looks yoked. And that's pretty typical of basketball players to get pretty bulky in the offseason. And then during the season, you're going to lose like 10, 15 pounds. You just are, because you're so active. It's really hard to keep it on more often than not, but he looks like he's filling into his body a little bit more, which is terrifying for everybody else. Evan Mobley had an awesome season last year. I'm not surprised that Kenny Atkinson was able to get so much out of him. Coach Kenny's awesome. I know a lot of people that know him, and we've just seen the product before where he's able to take people and just really maximize them. Garland, Mitchell, we all know everything that they're able to do. This feels like a true like all-star big three right here. You got a lot of scoring, you got a lot of passing, you got some defense. It's awesome stuff. So I'm excited to watch Cleveland. I'm glad they mostly kept their roster together. It sucks that they lost Ty Jerome. He was really good for them this last year. If Lonzo Ball's healthy, I think it's an awesome, if not better, replacement. But yeah, I'll be very, very curious to see what ends up happening with this group this next year. Definitely a true big three. So who else could be here? Is it gonna be Denver? Is it Philly? There's no way they put Philly there. There's no way. Well, the net ratings just, because this is based off net ratings, right? So it has to be a good team. So it could be the Timberwolves, but they weren't like even that high. It could be Denver. Who else could it be? They're probably not going to put Boston on here, right? But Boston statistically should probably be up there. But again, those guys aren't on the team anymore, and like Drew and stuff. But Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum. But again, they're injured, so I doubt it. Okay, it is Denver. The Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon. Maybe not like your typical big three, as only one of them's even been like an all-star, right? We all know Jamal Murray's kind of one of those borderline guys, and Aaron Gordon's really, really good as well, right? Again, they're going based off of net rating here, so that's the biggest reason why. I'm not sure I would say this is a better big three than, say, like the Cavs, or I'd probably say they're better than this group here. I don't think they're a better big three than the Clippers, but the thing that the Denver Nuggets have going for them is that like their starting five, and I'm talking about last year's starting five, just had such great like what's the word I'm looking for? They just all played so perfectly off each other, right? The Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic pick and roll continues to be the most unguardable thing in basketball. You got Aaron Gordon rim running and baseline running that entire time during that, and he was starting to hit more of his three-pointers. You got Michael Porter Jr. Running around ready to hit any catch and shoot opportunity that he had, and then Christian Brown became such a good player for them last year. It's just they had no bench, right? But the five was the five. Now Michael Porter Jr.'s not in that anymore. Cam Johnson is. We've seen Cam Johnson be kind of that elite role player before in the NBA, so I'd like to think that he can do it again. He seems like a very adaptable player, but MPJ just did fit a very particular niche that they needed on that team, so I'm curious to see where it goes, and he could very well find himself kind of in that big three category, if you would. But these three together do just play off of each other in such a way to where they are kind of a big three, because while the Jamal Murray Jokic pick and roll thing is super dangerous, another big part of it for being so dangerous is because Aaron Gordon's sitting in the corner. You don't know when he's going to cut at a certain point, because that help side corner defender's got to come in. Aaron Gordon's going to come put it on your head, or he's just going to be open for a corner three, and he's capable of hitting those. So that's what kind of makes the whole thing just work together, and I'm not surprised to see it here. I'm glad that Denver did so well this offseason and kind of put a bunch of people together. I'm excited to see what's the young kid's name that missed all of last season, and now he'll be back. I can't remember. But you guys can let me know in the comments. Am I comment baiting you, or do I actually remember? I don't fucking remember his name. But he was the like bouncier power forward that can sometimes shoot a little bit. So I don't know. I'm excited to see the whole Denver Nuggets team next year. They'll definitely be a team that I'm rooting for, because it's going to be really hard to root for my Bulls. And then yeah, the number one team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah. What did you expect to be here, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. Hopefully these three are going to be around for a long time. Shout out to OKC for getting all these guys extensions, and the extensions all kind of make sense and benefit the team in the best way that they can. Yeah, look for OKC to be repeat title contenders this next year. Should be a lot of fun for them. Hopefully we can see Jalen Williams continue to develop kind of his half-court offense. I hope Chet can maybe find a slightly clearer offensive role. I'd like to see them what's the word I'm looking for? As they run a very simple offense, they do in Oklahoma City, and I think that's because they have so many young guys out there, and I think that's a compliment to Coach Daigneault for not overcomplicating things. But I'd like to see them get a little bit more intricate at times, because it's great that they can just keep spamming this drive and kick thing, but I'd like to see guys like Chet have a little more versatility, because I know it's cool in transition when you can kind of see him go coast to coast and stuff, but in the half court it just looks a little gross because he can't like move anybody physically, and despite him having very good handles for his size, he still can't really do much in front of somebody. But man, he can shoot. Obviously, he can finish around the rim and stuff. Just like to see it get a little more complicated, and I think that's okay to say, right? I know they just won the championship, and they did it they had a very convincing season, but we still want to make sure we're improving on things, right? This is still a young group of guys, so we hope to see them improve. But anyway, so that's what net rating had to say per Bleacher Report, but what I want to do is my own little analysis here, and I've intentionally not finished it because I don't actually know where this is gonna go, and I've seen a lot of people being like, hey, you should talk more about how you kind of do these spreadsheets or whatever, so I'm gonna try to do it. So let's talk about what we got here. So first, I went and just scraped a bunch of data from dunks and threes here so that we can have access to it. So that's what that is. We've got their offensive, EPM, defensive, and then total. If you're curious what EPM is, it stands for estimated plus minus. It's a really, really advanced statistic that basically tells us how good someone is at offense, defense, and then overall in the NBA. Has its gaps, so don't take this as just a god stat. Every stat has its gaps, but it's one of the better ones that we have in the NBA. And then we have teams, obviously, right here, because we're trying to find big threes. And what I've gone and done already is I just put together a little formula right here that basically says, okay, grab me the number 1 player in terms of EPM on this team, the number 2 player, and the number 3. No surprise that these guys are right here. And you'll notice I've gone and color-coded some of these red, and that's because these teams don't have their big 3 anymore. Either they're not there or they are injured in like a Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton way. So these teams, I'm just going to say they don't qualify at all. So the Milwaukee Bucks, the San Antonio Spurs don't qualify, the Celtics and Pacers, the Memphis Grizzlies, because Desmond Bane is gone, the Detroit Pistons don't qualify, the New Orleans Pelicans, oh no, the Phoenix Suns, I don't know why I'm being such an asshole, the Brooklyn Nets and Chicago Bulls, oh no, not the Bulls, they were in such high contention, and then the Washington Wizards. So what I am going to do is I lost all the highlights. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so now we're left with the teams that could potentially have the top big threes in terms of like EPM here. And these are those respective players. By the way, if you're wondering why some of the players are spelled kind of weird, it's just because when there's special characters associated with like foreign names and stuff, the English keyboard doesn't know what to do with that. So they give them like special key characters to kind of help spell it out for your computer. But anyway, so let's go get EPM. So this is how we can go and get these stats now. So we're going to use a VLOOKUP, and for those of you that actually know how to do like Excel and Google Sheets and stuff like that, this is going to seem really simple, but I'm explaining it to people just because this stuff's good to know. This shit can help you get a job at some point. So we're looking for this value right here, and we're looking for it in this data set right here. We're going to absolute reference it, meaning we put these little dollar signs in front of it because we don't want it, as we're moving this equation around, to move this around. We want it to move this I2 around, meaning it's going to look at different people each time. Then what we're going to do is I need it to look at the 1, 2, 3, 4 cell right here. So we're gonna do 4 and false, meaning I want an absolute match for what I'm looking for, and bada bing, bada boom. Now we have all of our EPM numbers right here. I'm gonna decrease this just a little bit, and then I'm gonna ask it to do this so that we can find it for those guys, find it for those guys, and now I want to do an average right here, meaning I want to find the average of these 3 numbers. Boom. Oh, why did that? Oh, I lost my formula. Excuse me. My apologies. There we go. So now we've got a nice little average here. I want to do a little conditional formatting so that we can see things just a little bit clearer. So we're going to do something like this. So off rip, OKC looks like it's going to be it, but let's rank them just because I think that that's a fun thing to do. So this is rank. I want you to take a look at this value across this data set. We're going to F4 this, or absolute reference it again, and that's going to be rank number 1. Let's drag this puppy down, and now we've got these. Cool. Now I kind of just want to put it into an order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab these right here. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to do if I can paste special right here, I want values only over here. It didn't grab it. All right, there we go. Now I got it to copy and paste. Let's move this over here. Let's call this, I'm just going to call this team. So this is going to be team, and I'm just going to sort these so that you guys can kind of get a clearer picture of kind of how all of this is working. So I want to sort this range by column T. It's going to be Z to A. Oops, I meant to do A to Z. Your boy, like I said, he's been sitting in the sun all day. So you know what? It is what it is. And I sorted by the wrong range again. Oh my God. Your boy's a bit of a dum-dum. So just leave it be. So this is our rankings right here. Let's put some boxes around this. And again, let's throw a little conditional formatting on it, because why not? Make it nice and pretty. So best big 3 in terms of EPM ranking, actually coming in at a very similar order right here. OKC far and above the rest. Denver coming in at number 2 still, which did actually not include Aaron Gordon, but it included Christian Brown, which again, Christian Brown was a really big part of their team last year. He was a statistical anomaly. He was awesome last year. So him and Jamal Murray, obviously. Then we had Cleveland coming in at 3 again. And where is Cleveland? So Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and actually Jared Allen. Darius Garland didn't even get to qualify for it. That's how kind of loaded their team is. Then we have the Clippers, who are also in that top 5. Again, who did the Clippers kind of have in their big 3 for this? They had Zubats, who was statistically one of the best players in the NBA last year, Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. And then we had the Lakers, who we said probably should have been up there with Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James again. Golden State was one of those borderline teams again. We got Dallas in here with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, although Kyrie Irving's going to miss a good chunk of this next season, and Derek Lively. Who has the worst big 3? They're saying the Portland Trailblazers do. Their big 3 technically last year was Tamani Kamara, Denny Advia, and Matisse Thybulle. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. There wasn't a lot of great basketball being played there this last season, but it is what it is. Shout out Utah for also being there. Actually, John Collins shouldn't even be counted in this, so Utah shouldn't have been counted in this at all. That's my bad. Atlanta, another one with Dyson Daniels, Trae Young, and Mo Gay there, but yeah, I don't know. Make of this as you will. I just wanted to give another perspective on it because I thought that was a fun thing to do, and I figured I'd show you guys kind of how you can do some stuff with spreadsheets and make it fun. I really like the spreadsheet stuff. It's helped me a lot in my career, just being able to do stuff like this, and this is incredibly simple what I'm doing here. I encourage you guys, just watch a couple of YouTube videos and you can learn this stuff so fast, especially if you put it in terms of something that you like and care about. Say it's basketball because you're watching this channel. If you don't like basketball and you're watching my channel, how the fuck did you get here? What drug are you on? But anyway, I don't know. I think that this stuff is cool. And like I said, if you can get good at stuff like this, you can get a lot of jobs and high paying jobs in the world by just being good with Excel or coding, stuff like that. So go learn it. There's an abundance of people that know it right now, and there's technically an oversaturation in the market, but we're not here to talk about that right now. So I'd have to agree. OKC, best big 3. Denver, I'd still go Cleveland. This is where you use a little bit more of the eye test, right? And I'd be curious if we went big 4 or something like that, kind of how things change. Does Cleveland overtake them then? Because now I'm just curious. This is where we can change up formulas really quick, and let's just, who's the number 4 guy? It's actually Alex Caruso, and he has only a slightly worse rating, and they still stay number 1 when you go with Alex Caruso there. How many guys down do we have to go before they drop out of this? So now it's a 4.9 with Isaiah Joe. If we go to 6, if Isaiah Hartenstein, so again, we have to get him below a 4.1. Who's number 7 for them? Jalen Williams. And then Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go here. If we went 8, now we're at Lou Dort still. They still have great players being thrown out at this point. 9, Aaron Wiggins. 10, Kenny Hustle here, still up there. 11, Brandon Carlson, we're still up there. So 12, and Cason Wallace comes in there. So there you go. We have to go like 12 guys down in order for OKC's top 2 guys to be kind of rendered not as important anymore. So there you go. I don't know. It's kind of a shorter video today. I've got a couple other fun ones planned for this week, but wanted to get this one out to you guys. Anyway, I appreciate you guys as always. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. Let's move on to the comment of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment of the video is coming from our breakout players for each NBA team, part 1. Yeah, that was a fun video. Go check it out. We're talking about players that we think could be on the rise this next season. It comes from Cohen Teeter here that said, I actually like that you didn't prep for this video. I started out the video by saying, look, I didn't prep at all for this. I hardly ever prep for these things very much, but I was like, I didn't prep at all for this. It keeps it more of a longer podcast talk instead of just hopping on and saying what you think in 3 minutes and moving on. And the best part was you telling us basically straight up right away. I'm glad that you guys appreciate that I can just be real on here. I'm not good at being fake, man. So it's just what I do. I don't know. I think it's something. Also, another thing that I notice in the comments with videos like this, as well as some of these other ones late, because we've been ranking a lot of things. A lot of people come in and they start out their comments with like, as a blank fan, and don't think that I'm calling one particular person out. There's a lot of people that do this. And again, I'm not hating on it per se, but when people go as a blank fan, that doesn't qualify you to say anything. So I don't think people should start out their comments by saying this, because look, I can watch people like, I don't know, build a pool every day. It doesn't mean I'm a pool expert or anything like that. It just doesn't mean anything. It's funny when you talk to people within the basketball world, kind of like I do. And again, this is not to shit on people or anything. I promise you, it's not. Like, we sometimes love just all these like basketball analysts that exist out there just saying things that just don't make remote sense in the world because they're just not in the world and they don't understand it. And that's totally okay, right? But it's just one of those things where it's like, if you said like, look, as someone that's on YouTube, like I could say that as a YouTuber myself, I think you should do this on YouTube. It's like, I don't know shit about this platform and how you should do certain things. There's people way smarter than me on this page. It's not a qualifier. So I don't know. I find that interesting and I just wanted to point it out because again, I don't know how to be not blunt on here. But anyway, if you want to go join the Discord, link is in the description below. Hop on there, engage in some fun conversations. We're talking hoops even during the most dead point during the season. And again, be on the lookout because September 1st we'll be kind of coming back and doing the whole season preview series. All 30 teams are going to get a video. Should be a lot of fun. But anyways, I appreciate you guys and we'll talk later. Thanks so much. Bye.